Thank you very much. Always a pleasure to be here in the Grand Forks constituency. A constituency that I love very much. Let me recognize the presence of my friend and colleague, Honorable Ivor Stephenson. And my other colleague candidates who are here, Honorable Peter Saint-Jean, and also Senior Counsel Tony Astafan, and to Dr. John Toussaint, Solomon Pascal, and my friend Carbon and the management team. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings. Red Plastic Bag said it, and I believe it. Something big is happening in the constituency of Mont Jean, Riviere Cyrique, and Grand Forks. Not only is Labour retaining the seat in Monday's general elections, but from the look of things, Ivor Stephenson is winning and winning big. I am predicting now that Mont Jean, Riviere Cyrique, and Grand Forks will be removed from the category of marginal or uncertain seats after Monday's general elections. And I believe a lot has to do with the fact that the people of this constituency understand and appreciate all that Ivor Stephenson and the Dominica Labour Party have done for this constituency over the past 5 years. In canvassing, people say all sorts of things about a candidate. But I am yet to hear someone say that Ivor Stephenson did not appear to care. I am yet to hear someone say that Ivor Stephenson was dismissive of their concerns. I am yet to hear someone say that Ivor Stephenson was abusive of them or to them. So I am satisfied that this election campaign is ending on Monday with Ivor Stephenson remaining a gentleman and a true servant of the people. Ivor Stephenson does not need any introduction to the people of Riviere Cyrique, Mont Jean, or Grand Forks. He is here and has been here for all the time. Ivor Stephenson is not running from anyone or anything. Ivor Stephenson went up for office in 2009 because he was moved and minded to serve the people of this constituency. Thompson Fountain has entered politics in Dominica because he's looking for a fresh start. He's yet to tell you, the people of Dominica, and the voters of Mont Jean, Riviere Cyrique, and Grand Forks, what caused the parting of ways between himself and the IMF. What we do know is that he roamed the streets of America for months on end, not being able to land a job after the IMF fired him. Thompson Fountain decided to enter politics in Dominica, and in his quest to become first the Prime Minister and after that the Minister of Finance, Thompson Fountain was forced to find a constituency. This constituency of Mont Jean, Riviere Cyrique is therefore the ladder which he must climb to become a minister of government. So his motivation and passion for entering politics had nothing to do with the needs or concerns of the people of this constituency. For Thompson Fountain, Voters of this constituency are simply a means to an end. He will run in this constituency and win, lose or draw. His interest in this constituency will end on December 8th, 2014. I have walked the length and breadth of this constituency. And I will be the first to admit that there is still plenty of work to be done to take the quality of life of our citizens in this part of the country to a standard I would like. I have said repeatedly in this campaign that the Labour government is fully aware of what needs to be done in every constituency and indeed in every village. The reality is that we had to prioritize. We also made a conscious decision not to borrow for things that could be delayed in the hope of securing grant funding for them eventually. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, I understand the issue of your roads. I understand the issue of your housing. I understand concerns about declines in agriculture, etc. But I want you this evening to attempt to understand me as well. I am the Prime Minister of all of Dominica. I am also the Minister for Finance. If I have $10 in the Treasury, I have to stretch that $10 just as each of you here in the crowd have to stretch your salary when the week and month ends. If a husband comes home and gives a wife $200 to take to the supermarket, she cannot go and buy a leg of lamb costing $170. She has to spend the money in such a way that she gets rice, flour, sugar, butter, peas, chicken, fish, oil, vegetables, and ground provisions. The same principle applies to the national purse and the national budget. Revenue over the past 5 years did not increase astronomically because taxes on you, the workers of Dominica, did not increase astronomically. We have been collecting around the same amount of taxes because we have been deducting the same amount of taxes from your pay. Therefore, we had a limited amount of money to spend on everything. My primary concern has been the traditional vulnerable groups in the society. I could not fix roads in Riviere Cyrique, but leave the old people of Riviere Cyrique without home care for the elderly. I could not provide brand new homes for everyone in Riviere Cyrique without ensuring that the children of this community had transportation to school. I could not focus on all the infrastructural problems in this constituency without ensuring that the senior folks who built this country were given a little something each month to make ends meet. So we had to prioritize and we had to stretch the dollar. I had to complete the highway from the airport to Canefield. I had to complete the roads leading into the valley. Otherwise, visitors would stop visiting that area and we would have lost serious revenue. So if your roads were not fixed by the time the elections were called, do not get upset with Ivor Stephenson. I, as Minister of Finance, had to make a judgment call. I have merely delayed your roads. Road improvements are coming to this constituency. Road improvements are coming to your community. The housing revolution is to be intensified. And I have already said that at least 300 of the 1,500 new homes to be built will be built in the eastern constituencies. So stop fretting yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. I am not one of those leaders who stay in the office and wait to be told what needs to be done. I know every piece of road in this country that is in need of repair. And it is my intention to repair them gradually over the course of the next 5 years. But ladies and gentlemen, the issues in this election are much, much bigger than the fixing of roads or the provision of playing fields and street lights. I spoke at Lago in Roseau last night to the issue of leadership and the grave threat posed to the future of this country by the election of Lennox Linton to the office of Prime Minister. Your vote on Monday will help or hinder Lennox Linton in his bid to become the Prime Minister of Dominica. If you do not vote, or if you vote for the UWP, you are supporting Lennox Linton. I repeat, if you do not vote, or if you vote for the United Workers' Party, you are supporting Lennox Linton. If you want Roosevelt Skerrit to remain the Prime Minister of Dominica, you have to vote for the candidate of the Dominica Labour Party running in your constituency. It is simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. I spoke last evening to the number of persons who were threatening to take their little vexation into the polling station. That is irresponsible and it is wrong. If you are a Labour supporter and you're not happy with something, find someone in the leadership of the party to talk to or come see me as Prime Minister. As Prime Minister, I see hundreds of people each week. Do not turn against the party or refuse to vote because you're upset with someone or over something. Come to the leadership and let us deal with the problem. Casting your vote on Monday is a sacred and solemn responsibility you have to your family and to your country. No Dominican should step aside and say it does not matter who wins. It matters who wins because there is a fundamental difference between Roosevelt Skerrit and Lennox Linton. There is a fundamental difference between the approaches of the Dominica Labour Party and the United Workers' Party. I heard Lennox Linton waffling today on the issue of foreign policy and external relations. He's talking all around the issue of relations with China because he knows the deal he has made with Taiwan. He's refusing to say he will maintain relations with the Kingdom of Morocco because he knows the deals he has struck with the Polisario camped out on the border with Algeria. Lennox Linton is turning foreign policy into a game of Ludo, where he chooses which button to play at a particular time. I said last evening, and I shall repeat here tonight at Riviere Cyrique, that reckless and irresponsible approach to management and leadership in this country would spell a death knell for Dominica, and as we seek to grapple with the challenges of an ongoing global economic recession. Now tonight, here at Riviere Cyrique, I want to make an announcement that I am sure will be of interest and will impact all public officers and other employees in the government service. I am aware of negotiations currently underway between the respective trade unions and the government negotiating team. I know the going has been tough for the unions because the country has previously not been in a position to consider far less grant a salary increase. I am aware of the increase in the cost of living and the rate of inflation over the period under consideration. We have done as much as we reasonably could to reduce and contain the number of taxes and other impositions on your salaries. I know the hardships that workers in this country have been experiencing. As I said, I sit and speak with hundreds of ordinary Dominicans every week, so I know your reality. I also know the reality of the government finances, and I know that before I can agree to an increase in salaries, I have first to source the money. This is not the voodoo economics of the United Workers' Party. They came with a manifesto pledging that what we have quantified as $7.6 billion in expenditures, and Lennox Linton and Thompson Fountain have not said where the first cent to underwrite any of these projects will come from. But just as we have been warning repeatedly over the last year, their manifesto confirms that the only possible source of revenue to finance anything that they're doing is through the sale of Dominican passports by the firm of Henley and Partners. Ladies and gentlemen, the Citizenship by Investment program in the Caribbean is already, as predicted, under attack. Already some metropolitan countries have declared war on the program, and others have introduced visa requirements for persons entering their countries with certain passports. Your Labour government fully supports the CBI program and will maintain it when we return to office. But we are not looking to the CBI program for the bulk of financing of our country's development. No country in the Caribbean has to date come anywhere close to realizing the projections of Henley and Partners in relation to the net benefit to the country of the CBI program. I am warning Dominicans tonight that this economy cannot survive through the sale of passports alone. I challenge Lennox Linton to deny that it is to the sale of passports that is looking for the financing of 85% of the promises in their manifesto. I am saying tonight that that would be an investment in wishful thinking to believe that Dominica would net $7.6 billion in net revenue from the CBI in the next 5 years. So I want voters in this country to know and understand pie in the sky when they hear it. On the other hand, your Labour government has been deliberate and very measured in its approach to increasing expenditure in this economic environment. We authorize our negotiators to offer and stick to 0.000% movements in salaries, because that is what the Treasury of Dominica, as it is currently positioned, can handle. But under Labour, Dominica has friends and Dominica has well-wishers. We have done the maths, and for the last 4 months, we have had ongoing discussions with friendly governments on the issue of budget support for Dominica. This country is not yet out of the woods economically, and I am not minded to increase the levels of direct taxation on the workers of Dominica. Therefore, I laid my cards out to 2 friendly governments in particular, and I am pleased this evening to announce that within the last 48 hours, I have had direct pledges from 2 friendly governments to assist with the issue of budgetary support come next year. It is as a result of these pledges that I was in a position earlier today to call the financial secretary and also call the heads of the respective trade unions. Indeed, I spoke to officials of the Dominica Public Service Union and the Dominica Association of Teachers and indicated to them that based on the pledges I had received and the liquidity that should exist as a result of an anticipated increase in revenue, I was in a position to change the government's offer of 0.000% over the next 3 years. Ladies and gentlemen, I am therefore delighted to be in a position tonight to announce to you and to the country that effective tomorrow, Thursday, the 4th day of December 2014, the government's offer to public service unions and therefore by extension to all public officers in Dominica shall be 3% in the first year, 1% in the second year, and 1% in the third year. This amounts, ladies and gentlemen, to a 5% increase of your present salary as public officers. As I said earlier, we did not pick or pluck figures from the sky. We run the numbers. And officials have determined that based on the projected increases in revenue due to the foreign policy of this government, increases of 5% over the 3 years are what this country can afford. And it is therefore what we are offering to public officers. Ladies and gentlemen, that proposed increase amounts to $15.9 million, broken down as $3.9 million in the first year, $5.4 million in the second, and $6.9 million in the third year. As I said, we have secured the money, and an increase of that nature can and will be afforded by a re-elected Dominica Labour Party administration. With Labour, ladies and gentlemen, we are sure and your future is secure. I call on Lennox Linton tonight to say where his proposed increase in salaries would come from. Don't tell me nonsense about when you get in, you will see. This is not a game of chance. This is not a lucky dip. If you're offering public workers an increase in salary, tell us tonight where the money is coming from. Tell us tonight where your money to build an international airport is coming from. Tell us where your $200 million to build a new hospital is coming from. I have already said where every single cent we propose to spend is coming from. Lennox Linton and the Workers' Party has 4 days as of tomorrow to put up or shut up, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot run a country. You cannot run a country on a demonization and vilification of your opponent. They spent 5 years attacking Roosevelt Skerrit and the Dominica Labour Party. And 4 days to general elections, that's all they're doing. For Dominica to thrive, it needs strong, prudent fiscal management. It needs creative ideas. The United Workers' Party has not advanced a single idea of what it would do differently were it to be elected to office on Monday. Everything that we have done, they criticize. Now the election is upon us, and they realize our programs are popular with the people. They say they will maintain every single one of them. But how will you maintain them if you pick war with the funders of those programs? You are not going to maintain healthy relations with China if you refuse to embrace the one China policy. The only reason Lennox Linton has not endorsed the one China policy is because he is still coveting with Taiwan. So how will you maintain programs funded by China if you play games with an issue as fundamental as the one China policy? How do you expect Venezuela to continue funding programs in Dominica when you have said all manner of evil about the administration in Caracas? These are fundamental questions for Lennox Linton and the United Workers' Party to answer in this dying moments of the general elections campaign. These silly games that the UWP is playing will serve only to confirm in the minds of thinking citizens that they are not ready to govern this country. The incident of him marshalling supporters to storm the airport this evening is a classic example of poor judgment and his unsuitability to lead. Ladies and gentlemen, do you understand what could have happened at the Douglas Childs Airport this evening had the chief of police not stepped in and put his foot down? Do you understand that Lennox Linton was prepared to jeopardize the lives of your friends and families? This is serious business, ladies and gentlemen. And I want you to go home tonight and reflect seriously on the grave and present danger that is Lennox Linton. This is a man who cares about none but himself. He had no family due in today, and he was therefore prepared to risk the security of all others. And just to inform you, ladies and gentlemen, that last night, some people burned down the communications tower of the Melville Airport, costing some $2 million. So the government now must find $2 million to replace the communications tower at the Melville Airport. I want Dominicans to answer, who do you think burned down the tower at Captain Bruce, ladies and gentlemen? Who do you think burned down the $2 million communications tower at the Melville Airport, ladies and gentlemen? I now have to go and find, as Prime Minister, $2 million to replace the communications tower. $2 million that could build roads, that could buy fertilizer for farmers, that could build homes for the poor people of Dominica, that would pay for scholarships for students to study overseas and here in Dominica. Roosevelt Skerrit now must go and find $2 million because some people, pushed by some people, burned down the communications tower. And you, like me, know who the people are. And that is why we shall go out on the polls on election day and ensure that the Labour Party wins a landslide victory to teach these people a lesson on election day. So, ladies and gentlemen, this election is coming down to one of leadership. It is coming down to a choice of Lennox Linton or Roosevelt Skerrit for Prime Minister. Here in Riviere Cyrique, and in Montjean and Grand Fond, the choice is very clear. Ivor Stephenson is the candidate of the Dominica Labour Party. A party that has been good to this constituency even before you elected a Labour Party rep 5 years ago. I therefore urge you to go out to the polls and vote for Ivor Stephenson on elections day. Vote for the Dominica Labour Party. Put your X next to the shoe, ladies and gentlemen. And let us together work to take Dominica forward and to the next level. But before I leave, I want to address an issue which the workers' supporters normally raise with you here in Riviere Cyrique, Mont John, and Grand Fond. They come here and they talk about the banana industry. But ladies and gentlemen, when Labour came into office in 2000, in 2002, we paid some $34 million of debt banana farmers owed to DBMC. I know of dozens of farmers in Riviere Cyrique alone who are owing DBMC tens of thousands of dollars. And Labour paid that for you, the farmers of Dominica. We paid that. And you recall when storms would hit Dominica and you had no insurance as banana farmers, the Labour Party came to your rescue and gave you money to go back to your farms within days of the storm. Millions of dollars. We put in place loan facilities at the Aid Bank at 0% interest for farmers, and a second facility at 50-50, which means if you took a loan of $40,000, $20,000 would be a grant. It would be free money to the farmers. And I know of several farmers in this constituency who benefited from those facilities. When Edison James and the Workers' Party came into office in 1995, we had about 7,000 farmers, banana farmers in Dominica. Edison James embarked on a program, and he publicly announced that program of eradicating the small farmers in Dominica. Because you know, as banana farmers in Riviere Cyrique, Mont John and Grand Fond, and in Dominica, that there were some of us who could not produce the extent to which we should produce, and we would come together and sell our bananas together to the BMC. And Edison James stopped that because Edison James wanted he, as a banana farmer, and his friends, the big UW farmers, to benefit alone from the banana industry. And when Edison James left, when he came in, he met 7,000 banana farmers. When Edison James left, there were less than 3,000 banana farmers in Dominica. So when they come here and they talk about the farmers' party, what did they do for the farmers? They destroyed the banana industry. Edison James and the Workers' Party, because Edison James did not like one man called Scotland, Edison James destroyed the Dominica Banana Growers Association, an association that used to buy inputs for farmers and give it to them at credit. He burned down the DBGA because he wanted to get rid of one man called Jeff Scotland. You remember that? So when they come here and they talk about farmers' party, they were the farmers' party. They were what they call it, they were the destroyers of the farmers of Dominica. That's what they were. So let us understand that. So let us understand. And what we have done and we continue for agriculture, that they have not done. And that's why our commitment is to continue to provide you with fertilizer, provide you with the inputs that you require and the financing you require to help you. That is why we have made a commitment to buy 2 vessels to sell our produce in the region. That is why we have built the coffee plant, so that as diversified farmers, you can have coffee to sell to the coffee plant. And we are about to open and commission the coffee plant this week, Friday, to sell coffee to Venezuela and Alba countries. We have the markets for the coffee. We have distributed to farmers over 10,000 coffee seedlings. Over 10,000 coffee seedlings have been planted. And that's why we are building the abattoir to help you, the poultry and the livestock farmers here, to sell your meat produce. That's what we're about. So when they come in and talk about the farmers' party, they're far from being the farmers' party, ladies and gentlemen. We are the party that has shown greater interest in the farmers of Dominica. So I urge you, ladies and gentlemen, to go out on election day and vote for the Dominica Labour Party. Vote by the shoe. All we need from you on Monday, 8th December, is a vote by the shoe. And to vote back Ivor Stephenson back into office for another 5 years. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. God bless you.